Hello everyone, this is Election Watch Analysis here, again for another video. Today I'll be discussing the 2022 Senate election in Georgia. And as some of you may have heard, David Perdue, the former senator who lost to Jon Ossoff in 2020, has filed to run again, but this time against Raphael Warnock for the Georgia Senate seat. So since the Georgia Senate race was a special election in 2020, there was one that was a regular election and one that was a special election because the former Senator Johnny Isakson resigned. There was a special election held in 2020. So Raphael Warnock won that against Kelly Loeffler by about 2%, outperforming my expectations, as you can see here. And David Perdue, who lost in the other race, as I mentioned before, has now filed to run against Ralph Warnock. So filed paperwork means that he has filed with the Federal Election Commission, I always mix it up between Federal Election Commission and Federal Election Committee. But he has filed with the FEC to run, which means that he's pretty likely to run. It's not for certain, but yeah, I would bet money on it, if you know what I mean. And David Perdue, frankly, I'm just put it out there, I don't think he's a very good candidate. Even back in going back to 2014, he ran against Michelle Nunn. So Michelle Nunn was daughter of Sam Nunn, a former senator. She was a decently strong candidate on her own. But if you compare it to this election to 2008, David Perdue, you could say he underperformed because in the last election it went to a runoff. But even in the runoff, the Republican got about 57% of the vote, and he underperformed that by about 5%. So, of course, the runoff is different, and I'll look more into this election to see if there's a spoiler for the Democrat or Republican. Usually elections like this have a spoiler, but I'm not sure. As you can see, there was a strong Libertarian candidate, and that could have affected it. But anyway, going back to the main point, David Perdue didn't do the best. He didn't really do that good in 2014. He won by about 7%, which is a respectable margin, but for a solid red state, that isn't very good, frankly. I think he won Gwinnett, or Henry Gwinnett. I believe the one he won is, it looks like he won Gwinnett County. If you look on the map here, it does show he won Gwinnett County, but he still lost Henry County, interestingly enough. So he had more suburban appeal back then, but since then he has lost that entirely, losing Gwinnett by about 20%. 20%. He went from winning it to losing it by about 20%. And he also lost Henry County, and the map showed it by about a lean margin. He lost that by even more, by about 25%. So looking at this map here, and I put contested as states that are going to be, could be close. Both sides will be pouring a lot of money into those states. Georgia, of course, is on there. I think that he would lose by maybe the same margin that Kelly Loeffler lost to Ralph Warnock. Obviously, David Perdue already lost, and I think that Jon Ossoff was the weaker of the two candidates between Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. I think Jon Ossoff was not as good. I think he was a really strong candidate, but as you can see here, he did underperform Ralph Warnock by only about 0.4%, but that's still a margin, and about 19,000 votes. But David Perdue still lost to him, meaning that David Perdue is just really not nearly as good of a candidate as the Georgia Republicans would need to flip back the state. Of course, there are some people listed. Kelly Loeffler is listed. I think that, frankly, if you were to rank all the candidates that could run this race, the worst would be Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course. She would just lose the suburbs by such a large margin. Second would be Kelly Loeffler, because she already lost by about 2%, when I expected Ralph Warnock to win by about 1%. And then you have David Perdue, who already lost by about 1%, about 1.2%, if memory serves me, to a candidate that wasn't actually as good. Ralph Warnock was the one, I thought, and I believe many others thought that Ralph Warnock would win, and then the other race I said the day before would be a toss-up with Perdue slightly favored. Both of them won. Ralph Warnock was even trying to reach out, essentially the term is his coattails, Jon Ossoff. showing that, they were campaigning together, so they would, there would be less split ticket voting. So running against the stronger candidate, the one that the Republicans were attacking more, Republicans were focusing all their attacks on, calling him radical socialist Raphael Warnock. David Perdue running against him when he couldn't even beat John Ossoff is such a bad idea on so many levels. The Republicans would go so much better for them if they nominated someone else. I think, honestly, if I was to make a prediction for this now, I would put it as lean. I think that Raphael Warnock, unless he had a scandal, unless he did a bad job and did not represent the people of Georgia well, I don't think that he would. I think that'd be lean margin. I think it'd be 2%, and maybe even 3% if he's approved of. Unless David Perdue just pivots and switches to appealing to the suburbs again, I don't think there will be a path for victory for him in this race. I think he'd do better than Kelly Loeffler, who would be like 3%, 3.5% loss. But of course, there are other people in Georgia that could do better. Of course, there are a lot listed here. I need to look into these people. I do research on them to see who the best candidate would be. Frankly, I think Doug Collins would also be a bad candidate since he is very much a big Trump supporter who would probably be in the same boat as Kelly Loeffler in losing the suburbs and a lot of the votes for being too closely aligned with Trump. There are multiple statewide elected officials like Gary Black and Jeff Duncan, who's the lieutenant governor of Georgia. I don't know if Duncan is tied to Brian Kemp's administration enough that Trump supporters don't like him as much. But if he's able to win the suburbs, he could be a decent candidate. But of course, I'll have to look into that. And in future videos, I will discuss who the best candidate for each races are. And I think that will be an upcoming one. Otherwise, I think that David Perdue would frankly be a candidate that would be, Ralph Warnock's race to lose. He would be the one to expand the margin or lower the margin. David Perdue just really wouldn't be that good of a candidate overall. He would give the Democrats one more seat. There you have it, one extra seat for the Democrats. Of course, that's not enough, but every seat counts, as we saw in the Georgia Senate race in 2020. Of course, those 2 seats decided the control of the election. So, this seat could end up being important. It might not be. We'll have to see, of course. Okay, that's it, everyone. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and like the video and comment down below if you think David Perdue would be a good candidate or not. Liking the video really helps more people see it, and subscribing also helps me out. So please do that. Join the Discord. I have finally made one, and I put the link in the description. I'm pretty active on there, so join that. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.